Hi, my name is Demi Fortuna of August Moon Designs, and I have a very interesting project to show you today. We're doing a modified koi pond where all of the plumbing, the conduits for lights, and the returns for jets to sweep the bottom of the pond are all inside the liner under a cement layer that will protect the liner. So what you see behind me here is the excavation after the sides have been all prepped. The cement walls have been poured where we're going to be putting patios on top of them. All of the shaping is done, all the roots have been cut back, and we've laid the entire pond excavation out with an 8-ounce geotextile fabric to protect the bottom. You can see in the background the trenches that the tubing and drains and conduit will be going into. We're going to lay the liner, EPDM 45 mil liner, on top of this geotextile layer, lay another layer of geotextile on top of the liner so it's sandwiched between geotextile, and then cover the whole thing with cement. What you see here is the end of the stream. We're going to have a little bridge that we poured supports for directly behind those pipes. And then the bottom of the stream is set up so that all of the wastes will flush downwards into the bottom of the pond. They'll all end up in a bottom drain that's over here on the far left side at the low point in front. And what we'll do is run the bottom drain into a reservoir that's going to be behind a cinder block wall, but inside the liner over in that corner. We'll show you more about that when we get to that point. That way we'll be able to pick up all of our debris and run all of our piping inside the liner with no perforations. The only perforation we're going to have is when we pull water out of the reservoir in that corner. The water will come down through the pipes, the bottom drains, and then lose most of its sediment in that reservoir, and then we'll be pulling water out into the plumbing system from the top of the reservoir with a single perforation, a 4-inch bottom drain or large flanged perforation through the liner up at the top of the liner in the far corner. Okay, we've reached a point in our excavation where we can start covering up all of our pipes and tubing with cement. Everything's inside the liner so that there's no chance of leakage. What you see here is the bottom drain installed. We've got the air line that's coming up to the side of the bottom drain so that we can bring an air diffuser right on top of the bottom drain for an air assist system. As the rising bubbles come up, they create a counter current that brings the garbage right into the bottom drain. We've also got a 2-inch feed for a return line so we can sweep the bottom with a jet of water, and we have an 1.25-inch line to pass our lighting through so we can set up submersible lights. Everything will be inside the liner so we don't have to worry about leakage at all. Okay, we've gotten to the point where the shell is pretty much set. Now we're just finalizing all of the plumbing connections before we set up the settling chamber in the corner. Each one of the lines either brings water or lights to one part of the pond or another to sweep or to illuminate that corner, or is one of the 3 intakes for the settling chamber, bottom drain and 2 skimmers, which will be going in and being cemented over next. So basically, once we have all the plumbing done, we'll be able to button everything up and install our stone. Once the stone is in, we'll do a final coat of cement over everything that's colored and do that nice and clean and neat up against the stones to finish the project. Okay, what we're doing now is refining the edge, getting the skimmers in at just the right height. And you're going to notice behind me that the skimmers seem to be very high. Well, it's a bit of an illusion. What we did was we took out all of the very dusty soil that we had in place so we wouldn't have to move it later. We're going to be mixing it with compost and then backfilling up against the pond so that any water that falls in the area will run away from the pond and not in it. So that's what we're setting up now, and you can see the height of the skimmers. You'll also notice that we've made the edge between the wall and the bottom very smooth, so we won't be able to pick up any debris. All the debris will slide off the walls and down. And the way the pond is shaped now, the low spot is the bottom drain, a 4-inch bottom drain that'll pick up all the debris and move it into a settling area that's below the waterfall, so we don't have to worry about an open tank or any exposed plumbing. It'll all be behind the waterfall. Okay, what we have here is a horizontal settling chamber that takes the place of a vertical settling chamber. We've put in eco blocks to support the load on top. We have our pipes, our 4-inch drain, and our 2 4-inch lines from the skimmers coming into the bottom of this stack of eco blocks. Liner come up behind it, above water level, and all of the pipes that feed our entire system go down through this underneath the wall that's separating this chamber, which is really part of the pond, from the rest of the pond. This way we'll be able to build our utility area behind this, put our waterfall in front, and when we draw water from the top of this chamber, we'll be leaving all the settled out junk down below. We'll be accessing that junk to remove it through this pipe here, where we'll drop a solids handling pump down the bottom and periodically flip a switch and pump out all the junk. It's not as easy to deal with as a vertical settling chamber where you have some place that's lower to siphon the waste off to, but because we're 6 foot undergrade everywhere, this will be a really nice way of taking out all those settled wastes away out of the pond itself and then being able to pipe them, actually pump them to wherever we need into the garden. So we're looking forward to seeing this thing up and running. This is a really cool idea, a great way to have a settling chamber where you don't have to sacrifice any actual footprint of land around the pond. Once this is all set up, it's just about done now. We're going to accommodate the pipes a little better. Then we're going to pour a pad right on top of the eco blocks. These eco blocks will actually support about 14,000 pounds each. So we'll be able to set this up so that we don't have to worry about any settling whatsoever. We'll distribute the load right across the top of this up the entire waterfall and have this hidden away and still have access to it through the clean out pipe. next thing we're going to be building before we actually finish the waterfall is a utility area behind the waterfall, the back wall of which will be cinder blocks that will hold the waterfall up, and on the outside of that wall, towards the back, hidden from view, we'll have our pumps, our filters, our lights, our transformers for the lights, etc., the whole control center for that, all behind the wall, behind the waterfall. So all of these pipes are going to end up back here in this utility area, including the clean-out pipe. Well, we're pretty pleased with the rocks we got. We have a whole load of PA colonial stone from Wiki out in Hackettstown, New Jersey, right on the PA border by the Delaware River Gap. And this is about the nicest stone we've seen. We asked them to collect it for a special. They put together a 22-ton load for us. We have everything that we could possibly need here, from very flat stones to very large stones, plenty of smaller ones, all different shapes and sizes, and all of them nicely rounded so they'll look really appropriate in and around the pond. So we're very pleased with the stone. You'll notice there's good mossing, lichens, and even ferns on these stones, and everything was just collected yesterday, so it's all good and fresh. We're going to throw a sprinkler on these tonight to make sure that we don't lose any of that moss, and keep it nice and green and fresh so that when we're done with the pond it looks like it's been there forever. So very pleased with the load of stone.